Hi, I'm Jess with Canine Perspective, and this video is going to go over e-collar, the functions of it, just to help give my clients more of an understanding and visual of what it is, since everything's being done virtually at the moment. So here I have a Dogtra 3500. This is the highest powered collar, so when you order a Dogtra product, most of the systems come with a little kind of briefcase here that holds all the equipment. You got your transmitter, which is your remote. So you got your transmitter, which is your remote. You have your receiver, the collar. You have your charging plug, and then you also have a device here that helps you test for current. And I'm going to actually go over that because it helps you get a visual of like what's going on with the system. Then it also comes with a user manual here. So I always recommend that people read the user manual. So here, and I'll get closer to the camera, so it might be just my hands. So here with the remote, you have your pager function. This is simply a vibrate function. You have a nick and continuous button, and they're labeled just around the button there. On top we have our dial, our LED screen, and then on the 3500, and as far as I know only on the 3500 system, you have a switch that goes from regular to mild. Okay, so here to turn this on, you have a blue button on the side. This is on and off. You're going to press and hold that button until your screen lights up. Okay, and it turns blue. So it might be hard to see with the light on, but this is turned on, and there you can see where it says 0, and there's a battery life signal. Okay, so now the transmitter is on. This button only turns on your transmitter. Okay, to turn on your collar, we have a red dot here. As you can see, red dot, and then we have a red dot here. Okay, we're gonna take these two red dots, and you see here you can kind of see a little kind of translucent spot there. That's where it's going to show you where it's turned on. So I'm going to touch the two red dots together. I guess there's a green light. Okay, green means now your collar is on. So both our transmitter and our collar are now on. Okay, so when you turn your system on, I always tell my clients, always hit the pager function here, the one on the front just above your LED screen. And you may be able to hear it's vibrating. Okay, and as you can see, the green light is going. Okay, so we know this is on. Okay, I do this to double check that the system is on before I put it on the dog. Okay, if you're nervous or scared of accidentally stimming yourself or shocking yourself, as long as you're not making contact with these two probes, you're okay. So what I suggest is people hold it on the side. They hold it like this. Like this. You'll be or you can even hold it from the strap. You need to be making contact with the 2 points like so in order for you to feel anything. Okay. So if you're nervous about that, just don't touch the contact points. So now I know my system is on. Okay. So I've tested it. So now to turn your system off, you always want to turn off your collar first and then turn on your remote. Okay. So here I'm going to take the two red dots. And you're going to see a red light. Okay, try it again. Red light. Okay, but the system is still on, as you can see. Okay, so red light, system still on. Red light, system still on. Okay, the reason for that is you need to hold that button for a second. Now it's off. Okay, not button. I'm sorry. You need to hold those two red dots together for a second, and then it turns off. Okay, so now I've turned it back on. We try it again. So two red dots. Contact, hold for a second, press the pager button, nothing is happening. Now the collar is fully off. Okay, so the reason why I do the pager function to test if it's on or off, I turn this back on again, is because clients in the morning would be in the rush. They would do this, they'd see the red light, leave it on the counter, but then the collar would still be on and it would die throughout the day. Okay, so you always want to turn on, I always suggest turning on your collar, then turning on your remote, then turning off your collar, then turning off your remote. So it's the same sequence each time. Because if you turn off your remote first, and you press and hold that blue button, this is now off. If I hit the pager, well, this isn't vibrating, but it's still on. See that red light, the green light there? It's still on. So you have to turn off your collar first and then turn off your remote, okay? So again, one last time, red dot to red dot, touch, good. Vibrate function, this is off. I go back to the blue button on the side, press and hold, and you can see where it says the word off, and the screen goes blank, okay? So the next thing I want to talk about is we have the LED screen, and on top we have our dial. Okay, this goes up incrementally. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. Well, skip 2, but 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it goes all the way up in individual digits to 127. Okay, that's the max power. So if you get your system, what I tell everybody to do is turn it on. They usually send it charged, and fiddle with the dial. Okay, if you find with the slightest touch your dial goes from like 4 to 50 or 4 to 20 with just the tiniest movement, you most likely have a lemon. Okay, you want to send that back, exchange it. It's rare, but it can happen. I've had it happen to at least a handful of clients throughout the years. That something's wrong with the configuration or the dial, and this goes up exponentially, and that it makes it's very difficult to work with. Okay, so you want to send that back and make sure that it's working correctly, and the numbers are moving in individual digits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 127. Okay, so now if we cap it at 127, and we look at that switch at the back where it says regular and mild, the switch is now up. If we go back and look at the front, we're going to go from 127, and I switch it, it goes to L63, low 63, okay? So what it does is when you flip that switch, it cuts the power in half. I have never used that function in my life, okay? I always keep things on regular, because the last thing I want my client to worry about is if something happens and there's an emergency and they're using the mild function, that, oh crap, my dog is scared because someone set off a firework, I gotta get them back. Oh no, I put it on low power, I gotta switch something, and they're sitting there fiddling with it, their dog's long gone, okay? So I always leave things at full power. All this means is your number is gonna be lower because you have the full power, okay? And it's, and I've used a collar like this on a small dog as small as 8 to 10 pounds. They're perfectly fine. This is meant for a 70-pound dog and over. There are different models for different sizes and temperaments, but it's perfectly safe to use because it's not electricity. It's just a muscle contraction. My number was very low, okay? And the reason I had to use it was because that's all I had at the time. So here, the other thing we have is a battery life signal right there. That battery life signal only pertains to your remote, has nothing to do with your collar, okay? The indicator on your collar is this blinking light here. Green means fully charged, orange means running low, red means dying, okay? So if you see your collar turn orange, I always just suggest you charge it. If you see it red, you definitely want to charge it. This is a 2-hour quick charge system, which means if it dies completely, you pop it on the plug for 2 hours, it'll be fully charged, okay? Otherwise, put it in for 30 minutes and you should have a relatively good amount of juice to do your daily walk or what have you. So we've gone over the screen, we've gone over the dial here, which clockwise goes up, counterclockwise brings the power down. I'm going to go ahead and max it out again because I'm going to show you guys something. Pager function is simply a vibrate. In other styles of remote, it can be a tone function. It'll just beep. All the ones that I've used has always had the pager. I don't use it for training unless I'm working with a deaf dog or I need to check if I have contact. So if I'm working with a dog, and let's say the dog's number is typically 15 to 20, and I'm not seeing the contact, I'm not seeing the contraction, and I'm like at 60 or 70, I'm much higher than I normally am, I'll go and I'll grab the collar, hit the vibrate function. If it's not vibrating, I know something's wrong, okay? So now, if we go back to our box here, and we grab this, okay? It's like a little conductor. This is for you to test your collar to see if there's any connection or if there's any current, okay? So here, we take the two, there's like 2 slots, and you place it. They place perfectly over the probes of the e-collar. And when you press the button, you're gonna see that blink, okay? Whenever I tap the button, the blink happens. That's the stim, okay? So that tells you you have connection, that you have power, that you have a functioning collar here, okay? So what I like to use this for is to show people the difference between that nick and continuous function, okay? So for the nick, it's, actually let me do this, make things easier. There we go. So you can see that flash, that's nick. So even if I hold it down, nothing happens after that initial nick. With continuous, as long as you hold that button down, your dog is feeling continuous stimulation until you release the pressure. Okay, so even if I press really quickly on the continuous, you can see how it is a smidgen longer than the nick. Okay, so it's nothing good or bad. It's simply prolonged stimulation until you release the pressure, and this will go up until I believe 12 seconds. It will go 12 seconds, and then at 12 seconds there's an emergency stop that it'll take off the pressure, and if you needed to put more power through, you would simply press the button again. So like right now, I held it down, it died by itself, and now I release the button. I press it again, power goes through again. Okay, so when I train, I use primarily the nick function. I don't really use the continuous unless I'm doing proofing or working on fear responses and overriding flight mode and all that stuff, which I'll talk to you as a client down the line because it gets a little bit more complicated with the training stuff. So then here you have your blue on button, your pager function, that's the vibrate, your nick and your continuous. You have your dial and your LED screen. You have your regular mild switch, and then also we have our charging port. Okay, there's our charging port right there. The e-collar, turn this down so I don't accidentally remote myself. The e-collar here, again, next to it we have a little tab. Remove that tab right there. So to charge, kind of like an old phone, you have an AC adapter that has two plugs, one so that you can charge your collar, and another so that you can charge your remote. So you can charge both at the same time. Okay, so there's a splitter to do so. Alright, and everything except for the vibrating to test whether it's on or off, you'll find in the book. The book goes over the function and everything. And then for the particular model that you'll be purchasing, it'll tell you what the range is, whether or not it's waterproof. The Dogtra 3500 is completely waterproof and has a 1 mile range. If you live in the city, the range is affected because of buildings and things like that. But if you're out in the open, it's plenty of range for the standard family pet. These are meant for hunting dogs, so that's why they have a very long or a wide distance. To give you a quick visual, I have this set on 15 at the moment. So I'm going to go and put it on my thumb. And I can actually already feel the stem on this thing right here. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can find, there we go. Might be kind of subtle. So you can see a very slight twitch in my thumb when I press the button. That's the stem. Okay, it's like a miniaturized TENS unit. So it's just contracting the muscle. That's moving the thumb to give you an exaggerated visual. I'm going to go up. I'm going to go from 15 to 25 here. Okay, 25. There we go. Much bigger contraction because now there's more output. Okay, so every dog's number is different, just like every person's number is different, because they use this in chiropractic services and physical therapy to help build muscle strength or break scar tissue. Same thing here. I always tell everybody this is electric but not electricity. There's not an electric current running through your body. There is a very short current running from here to here. But if I press the button, you're not seeing electricity shooting across like you would on a taser gun, right? So I'm hitting the continuous button or even the nick, and nothing is happening here, okay? There has to be contact so that the current can travel, and it's centralized to that one spot. I don't feel anything anywhere else. So I suggest to clients that they feel it themselves. When I would do my actual consultations in person, I have people feel it so they have an understanding of it, because most people think when they're doing e-collar that they're going to be electrocuting their dog. That is incorrect. That is not how the technology works. They use this technology on people. I've had many clients that were chiropractors or are chiropractors or physical therapists, and like, oh yeah, we do this all the time. So it's no big deal. It's not about the tool, it's about how you use the tool. People have this preconceived notion that just because we're using a tool like this, that the dog's going to be like writhing in pain. Again, that's not how it works. Let me just double check. This is on, and now that is off. That's not how it works. We use pressure work, which is going to be an entirely different video. But for those that want to do e-collar and learn a little bit about it, I prefer the Dogtra brand. I think it's the best brand. I've been using it for years. There are other brands out there. The next best, in my opinion, would be e-collar technologies. Those two are the only two that I have used on a regular basis. E-collar technologies go 0 to 100. This goes 0 to 127. It just means I have 27 more breaks. I prefer this one because I've had issues in the past using the e-collar technologies, remote collar system. And you have things like Garmin and Sport Dog and stuff like that. I don't like those brands. They're not effective in my opinion. They're very limited. One goes 0 to 7. The other one goes to an equivalent of 18. Was it 18 plus times 3, 20, 30, 38, 46, 54 levels. So like half of this. So I have twice as many dividends, so I can really fine tune it to a dog's personality. Plus, I don't find that they're very very easy to use. You got like flip switches and like press buttons and stuff to go from modes. This is just very easy. 0 to 127 in digits of 1 and the different functions. So that's how those are the functions of the Dogtra system, and most of these systems actually look the same except for the IQ system. The IQ system, the button layout on the remote is different, however, and the remote, the collar itself, is actually even smaller than this one. This is a IQ system. I don't have the remote with me, but most of the Dogtra remotes are the same design, where it's the pager in the front, the Nick and continuous. This is for the Dogtra 300. So, but this one does not have the LED screen. It's the only difference. It has a dial that says 0 to 100 on top, but same functions: pager, Nick, continuous. So I'm Jesse with Canine Perspective, and that was the functions of the Dogtra e-collar. Thank you for watching.